Hello everyone and welcome back for week 2 of the English 1510 Comp 1 overview for a 12-week semester, online asynchronous. Quick reminder, note that I put at the top of the video here, reminder that particularly in fall and winter semesters, overview videos can be used for multiple sections of comp and other courses. Just make note of that, just in case there are any discrepancies at times between your submission dates over on these sides. It's why I stick with a scheduled layout that just names weeks typically and says what the dates are due only for specific course things on the instructions for things like this, where you have a submission section that requires something particular like a Dropbox or a discrepancy between some dates. Otherwise, you'll note that most of the assignments every single week are due the Sunday at 11:30 p.m. The only discrepancy there is in instances like this with the discussion board, I open it first and it usually gives you 2 weeks as opposed to one on some of those. And you'll notice as the semester progresses, depending on what term and class you're in, rough drafts, I usually have 2 weeks of the submission dates on those as well. So make sure you're paying attention to your dates in the overview videos, not just what's displayed on class, because as I said, even in 12-week semesters or 8-week, you can have them slightly misaligned because they start at different dates and times. So making sure that we're looking at these correctly, folks. Note that on here, for the second week, you should see an adjustment slightly where week 2 overview is at the top, and then the schedule, course schedule, tentative plan of work will be the next item. This is how it'll be laid out for the remainder of the term, more or less. And reminding students, upcoming events, make sure that that's clicked so that the arrow here is down and you can see all of the upcoming assignments that are already scheduled for the semester. The course schedule, moving here, some students may still be seeing on their page that this item listing the course opening and textbook information, that may still be second for a moment, but that will change to where this is removed down to this line, and then after around the third week, this content information about the textbooks and the initial contacting information, that will disappear. So you will see that removed from the page. I just want to remind students also that in addition to the overview videos and the course schedule and tentative plan of work, make sure you remember the contact and messaging information. I've had 3 or 4 students already who are sending me emails that are convoluted and not following those requirements and basics. And the problem there is I have a set of instructions that start prior to the term beginning. And remember that it is your responsibility as a student in any one of the classes to review the content for us through a syllabus and make sure that you've read it and understood it. I don't have to go through and go a line by line item on those, even though in week 1 overviews I at least touch base on most of that. So that aside, we're now into week 2. I did have some students message me up here in the instant messaging. I got back to you as soon as I could, and I'm I'm about 6 students in on grading everything from submissions from week 1. So I have about 10 or 11 left to go in this section, in one section. I have 14 or 15 in the other and 8 or 9 in another of Comp 1. So depending on which section we're in there, everyone should start seeing feedback popping up over the next week or so for your week 1 content, unless you started in the week of the 25th or 26th. Then obviously it's a little further down the line. But what I'm seeing so far is a couple of things. One is that with the submissions here for the first 2 items, FERPAs and academic honesty forms, I have several students in across 3 sections of comp that have not submitted these. So I think in total I have 7 or 8 between 3 sections, which isn't horrible, but for you that's a 0 in those categories. Make sure those get in right away. Diagnostics, same thing. I have some who have not yet submitted. Those are due by the Sunday at the end of week 1, all 3 of these, no matter what section you're in. Week 1 ends with the submission of these 3 documents. The FERPA form, academic honesty form filled out, obviously, and then the diagnostic writing portion being completed. I'm not reviewing that in week 2. I'm just touching base and making sure you guys remember those things were due. So for those of you seeing grades, it's because your submissions were in, and I have something there to review and comment on. For those of you who are not, you're seeing either zeros or you're seeing ones for those of you who submitted something but the file was not openable. That was the 3rd category of submissions. For some of you, I had files that were simply unreadable or unopenable or both. In these cases, remember the school only guarantees compatibility with Microsoft Word. So if you're not using that, remember in the syllabus, that's one of the content things that's listed under the course requirements. If we look here, every student must have access to some version of this. You can get this through a three student version with any edu email through Microsoft 365. But whatever you decide to use, we only guarantee compatibility with Microsoft Word. So again, this first week in all of my classes, I got a couple of students who gave me image files, some of them that did work for the form, some that didn't. I don't know what the deal was with the different files you submitted, but several students submitting things other than Microsoft Word documents, so they simply won't even open in the system, okay? So remember, that's a primary base requirement. There's nothing I can do about that. The systems that we use for grading, platform creation, video content, and then file storage, these are all complex systems that have their own programming in things, and we cannot guarantee compatibility without file corruption, and certainly not without getting viruses and things into our system off of students' piggybacked files or piggybacked off student files. So please make sure that you adhere to this, guys. It's not something to be difficult for students. It's to make sure that the systems are compatible and we can transfer files and information back and forth without corrupting any data. Okay, this is one that guarantees compatibility, as do we. The others do not. Okay, so that's not something the school can control. It's those software and platform developers. So week 2, everyone should be finished up with handing in FERPA, academic honesty forms and diagnostics by the prior Sunday. For the last portion of what still overlaps into the second week from week 1 is the class introduction for students who started the week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. You'll have class introductions that show availability ending on the 1st because that's the due date of the class introduction discussion board. Remember, those are here under discussions. You can see if we go through on mine, I've already done one, and there are 16 other students who have started putting those in. So that's good. I'll be reviewing those and posting grades for those as well. Coming into week 2, week 1 was simply listed here with FERPA and academic honesty forum, diagnostic being due on Sunday, and then discussion board. For students who have a late start that began the 25th or 26th in September, you'll see that this is posted on yours as being doing the following week. Excuse me. Of October, not on the 1st, right? Because you will be starting and you'll have a 2-week window on that. This week for week 2, the only thing that we have here that's an assignment submission is going to be the summary outline for the memoir. The reading selections are here for week 2. As I said, I don't start any week 1 readings on students because you're still, a lot of you having time ordering your textbooks. Remember that I said order a used copy. I still found brief editions today again. This week for $5, $6, $7. Pay the extra shipping and get it for $20-$25 and have it overnight or in the next 2 days. You got the readings here at week 2. These should be fairly review. And I recommend that if you're confused at all by the instructions, you skip ahead into next week's reading of memoir where you're going to overview these things. But I don't want you to forget that in the Dropbox for these assignments, instructions are all included. So beginning this week and week 2 for all courses, you have the memoir summary and outline. The instructional video that overviews that is included in the Dropbox. That is true for all sections. The video, again, they may mention other terms. This one mentions a Zoom meeting. There are no Zooms for your asynchronous courses, but it's the instructional video that covers the same content. The summary and outline are as follows. You have a 250-word summary that you'll write and an outline that you'll fill in with your content. That is not something you make yourself. That is a document that I have included below. So make sure that you read all of these instructions, all of the potential examples that I give here that explain the breakdown of those. Down here is an integrated example of the breakdown of certain content things there. It would be used for this paper. This is an exact breakdown of the structure of a memoir, particularly for all of you. Remember that the whole point of this is to resolve a complication, which is what the body one should end in. And if we scroll down, there are all these examples that are given, but the assignment documents are included at the bottom of the page. There's a rubric that overall content for the assignment is explained, the summary and outline template for this particular assignment that you're going to complete, and there's a student sample paper of an A paper that was completed, and it's got two versions there. One is the regular paper, and then it's labeled. I've removed all student identifiable information to use as the sample piece. So starting with the rubric, you will download. The rubric explains the overall, in the basic form, you got a word requirement that's pretty low. Shouldn't be intimidating for anyone. 2.5 to 3.5 pages on this. Most students will be between 3 and 4 on drafting stages. We'll see where those end up. But around a 3-page with the draft is what you should be shooting for on the rough. For the outline portion, just make sure you understand these parameters and what's being required of you. A general to specific intro that ends in a lead-in thesis that foreshadows or suggests the complication, does not give it away. Body 1, here's where you're telling your story, ending in a complication. Problem that has to be resolved, right? Body 2, think about your emotional or personal reaction to it. That's the advancement stage. Body 3, you resolve the complication that was introduced at the end of body 1. The conclusion paragraph, you tell your reader the moral of the story. And I prefer that we have what did you learn, as in explain to your reader what you learned, and then try to think of something along the lines of a parable or a short aphorism that expresses the moral of the story. Okay? An A paper would probably have both. It's not that you have to come up with something as an aphorism that's very profound that people always remember. I just want you to make the attempt at it. Okay? So now, that's the rubric for it. The next document, the summary and outline. This is what is due the end of second week. So what you're doing here is writing your summary in this box. This is already formatted for you guys. Topic of the memoir. Tell me your topic or your title that you're giving for a working title. Here, give me a 250-word summary of the story itself and the complication. Tell me how it's going to be resolved just in basic form. 250 words should be pretty straightforward. Down here, I need a general statement, a specific statement, your topic and thesis. This one here is certainly optional on this one because you can do both. This your topic and working thesis in one component. Here's an example thesis of a lead-in foreshadowing the complication and elements I used from a student's paper about going to a class trip in Germany. So you would remove this example thesis and put yours here. A general statement refers to the general category your story's in. Specific would give an example of it, but other than yours, and then a lead-in or foreshadowing thesis. That should be foreshadowing the complication here, not giving it away. Everyone will remove this topic sentence and write yours there. Give me at least 5 full plot story details here. Give me the complication that this body paragraph 1 ends on. What's the problem that has to be resolved, right? Here, advancement. Read the example topic sentence, remove it and write your own. Give me advancement details, end in an impasse. Remove the sample one. Remove the topic sentence here, and follow the same directions. Give me 5 details for the third body paragraph that resolves it, and then the conclusion. The student sample paper, most of you will find helpful in the weeks ahead, maybe not as much at the starting point while you're devising yours until you understand a little bit more about the parameters. Here's one thing to note though. This is a very good A paper. It's very long though. Yours doesn't have to be. And then in here, it's then diagrammed on the next page so you can see the components as it refers to your rubric and outline. Okay? Everyone, I look forward to seeing those. Again, let me know if you have questions here through instant messaging. Good work so far. And don't forget